welcome to the very first episode of So-Called Oreos podcast. You're here with your host, Kia Swin, and my co-host,
Amari Pollard,
Rachel Fowler,
and Janae Price.
And thanks for listening to our very first episode. So each week episode, you guys are going to hear a segment from each of us, and my segment is This Week in Black History, where I'm going to give you a fact or two of what went on this week, back in the ancestors' days. So
I like that, back in the ancestors'
that was
days.
good.
I didn't know how it's like history, but
Back in the day.
Back in the day when the ancestors were here. Okay. So April 29th, 1992, this was the first day of the LA riots, which was sparked by the acquittal of 4 white cops in the beating of Rodney King. And on May 2nd, they finally started to clean up and rebuild the city after the riots.
Yo, sidebar, my dad was there. I got pictures.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
You have to share.
He was visiting my Uncle Woody.
You got an Uncle Woody.
Yeah, I got an Uncle Woody. He's a really cool dude. He, for a very decent time of my life, he only wore blue tinted glasses. He's cool. Rad dude. But yeah, my dad was there. He was visiting my Uncle Woody, and the riots popped off, and there you are. And he was there for the Million Man March too.
Wow. I'm so sorry. I just said ancestor days. I realized that's 1992.
Yeah, that's
I was about to say.
Your dad.
Like, your dad is not that.
I was like, that sounds hella disrespectful. You're like, my dad was there. Okay, wait, it varies. Some stuff is like the 60s,
There's still
1800s.
our elders.
Okay.
Yeah, elders.
But like,
I should have said that.
But like,
yeah.
how cool is it that like we know people that were alive for these like significant moments in history?
Yeah.
I know.
And they get to share their stories with us.
Right, but like also our grandchildren are be like, my grandmother was alive when the first black man was elected president twice, and it's like, wow.
And she voted.
Yeah,
And then afterward, a Cheeto was elected.
That's just as big, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Just
crazy.
Trump's an idiot.
Yeah.
So that's a
Go
big
down
deal.
history. The second fact is May 1, 1986. Shawnita Latrice, also known as Tia Norfleet. I hope I said her name right.
Shawnita Tita.
Shawnita Tia.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
I tried.
She was the first and as of 2016 only African American female to be licensed as a NASCAR driver.
Wow.
We're in
NASCAR too? Yo, you can't.
I was not expecting that.
Everything.
Yeah, I was like, that's really different and interesting. I like that
Like,
fact.
give us the whitest sport ever.
We'll dominate.
We got tennis. Apparently, we got
do.
NASCAR.
Yeah, we got it.
We even got some lacrosse players out there. I can't name them, but they're there.
I went to school with a black lacrosse player.
Oh, you did?
You're sitting next to
Yeah,
a
he
black
went to
lacrosse
college.
player.
You did lacrosse?
Yeah, except I had to bow out because I hurt myself.
It's okay, girl.
I tore my ACL.
That's going to be an episode sports. Just remind me to do that.
Yeah,
In the future, sports.
Sports are sports. So that's my little segment. And now to Amari's segment.
Yes, we're gonna go on to something a little bit. No, well, that wasn't even heavy. It was heavy at first, and then we went on to something.
I'm going to try not to do like negative facts. Like,
No,
this is
no,
what
no,
I
no, I liked that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that.
No, yeah. So we're gonna continue on this high note and go into pop culture. What a lot of people don't know about me is I'm a pop culture geek, and I know a lot of weird, random facts.
And she has a lot of DVDs about every cheesy,
rom-com.
pivotal, important rom-com you've ever seen.
Harry Met Sally, music and lyrics. You've got mail. I got it all. But yes, okay. So this week we're gonna focus on Game of Thrones because it's been huge. That's all anyone's talking about, and we're 2 or so episodes into the season. I'm not gonna try to ruin it for anyone, but I've been I know they're moving into something important. I've been a little bit bored so far, just because
I'm bored.
I'm just like, where's the death?
I mean, yeah, like social
about to
media's
get
been
it.
dry. Like, I'm surprised because I'm waiting until
They're gonna
the
build it
season
up.
ends. So I haven't heard any like spoiler alerts.
I feel like the first episode I saw a bunch of people on Twitter, and I'm so glad. I love Black Twitter because it's just amazing, but I love that I can get the Game of Thrones things now. But the second episode, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention, but it was a little dry.
It was dry, and it happened
Sorry.
very quickly. Like, I looked up, and I was like, oh, it's over. But I think it's because they were focusing on like the really little tiny moments between each character.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of people think the build-up is for this week's episode.
it is because it's going to
is.
be the longest battle sequence in television history.
Yeah.
And the episode's going to be like an hour and a half. It's about to be insane. But to kind of, I want us to focus on for a little bit about Grey Worm and Misandry. Those guys coming in to
And if you don't know who those are two black people.
the literally black,
black,
and the Unsullied, but they got a whole bunch of
They never show the damn Unsullied.
but you got us fighting for you,
True.
which is crazy to me. I'm like, you don't want to recognize us, but
Low
we can.
key. That's some
Right?
bullshit.
Right?
I need to write them.
Like, but I could feel their level of discomfort when they went to
Winterfell?
When they went to Winterfell.
You know what was crazy about that is the very first episode when you see, I don't want to say her name wrong. I know I'm going to. Is it Misandry?
I said Misandry.
Y'all know who we talking about.
Yeah,
You know who
she's
we
the only
talking
black
about.
girl on the show.
Exactly.
And the prettiest one.
I thought true. I thought it was so crazy how she's riding on the horse. The first scene, they're all going into Winterfell together, and you see the white characters looking at her, and she's kind of like, and I was like, that's weird. They don't put racial tension in Game of Thrones,
But they
no, but they did, and it's been like a low key theme, a low
It's
key
subtle.
theme. Yeah, it's very subtle.
And I think you can also see it even more because now her and Grey Worm, well, they were already attached, but they're like very much leaning into each other
Yeah.
because they realize like this is not where we belong. This is not where we want to end. Like they're like planning when they make, hopefully pray Jesus that they both make it through.
I'm sorry, Grey Worm's dead.
He's
Yeah,
dead. We
he's
all
dead.
know.
He's
I know.
dead.
He's
any,
dead.
any character that makes a promise about the
Yeah.
future, they gonna die.
Well, the second episode, yeah, you touched on this, but basically Misandre, or I'm sorry,
We're all gonna say
Is it
that.
Melisandre? No, that's the witch.
No, that's
the
the
witch.
witch.
Yeah.
Misandre, she goes up to the little white kids and she's like, "Hi, how are you?" Because she loves children or
Yeah.
whatever, and they just look at her and run. And then Grey Worm's like, "This is where you want to end up, like once we're done fighting for our queen, you want to go somewhere else." And I don't know what else she says after that, like
Yeah.
something about like
Her people are kind and
are
warm,
kind.
and she just wants to go to the beach, and that just made me so sad because I'm like, this chick's probably not going to go to the beach. She's not going to see her family.
But did you think it was like similar to like Coming to America or something? Like I want to go back.
I think it was like I want to go back, but I think what I kind of liked about it was that when they entered Winterfell, they were on horses. It wasn't like they were on foot. They were kind of on the level
On the level of
and I was-
Daenerys. Oh my God, Desandra.
of Daenerys, and it's like, yeah, like your first introduction to black people is black people in positions of power who are now on the team that's coming to kind of infiltrate your town. And I was like, yes, progressiveness, sort of.
Yeah, no, I like how they put it in there. It's cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to, well, I'm not excited to see people die. I just really want Tyrion to live. That's all I care about.
I want Tormund, I think his name.
I love him too.
Tormund. Yeah.
Brianna Tarth.
Between him,
Brienne's gonna die.
Shut up.
Brienne's gonna die.
I hate you.
There's no way she's not gonna die. They had a nice little send off for her in the last episode. She's done.
which is
I'm gonna
sad,
cry.
because-
This is cooked.
and it's sad because she's like just the most honorable
best.
person.
Yeah.
She is.
She's just.
She deserves to rule,
She really does.
if we're being honest.
She deserves to
does.
live. She deserves to rule. But that's not the way Game of Thrones works, y'all.
No,
Sure.
It's
was
not.
it? Was it you live and you? There's some saying. I don't know. I thought there was some saying about death and like whatever fighting for Game of Thrones. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, that was our pop culture for today. No. So like just to continue, I think we're just gonna talk about how we
Came up with the episode.
came up with
Or
the podcast and like how we kind of got introduced to the label of Oreo and how we're kind of using this as a way to claim it for ourselves.
How
Yeah.
did we come up with the idea? Were we just all sitting there and we were like, "What are we gonna talk about?" Like, how did we come up with it? I honestly can't
weren't we
remember.
gonna pitch it to Vice?
You were.
We right.
Yeah.
You guys were gonna
Pitch it to a company. Whatever. Y'all can look our bios online.
We were going to pitch it to the company that
we worked
Kia
at.
and I both worked at, and it kind of fell through. And then me and Kia were both like, "Well, we definitely still need to do this."
Yeah. And I also like kind of been thinking about, well, I did radio in college, which is what a lot of people like was always like, what are you gonna do after college, you know, whatever, and I didn't know because I didn't have the radio station, and I was like, I'm not gonna put out a podcast that I didn't really flesh out the idea. I didn't really know. I didn't want to be like pop culture again, you know, because there's 80,000 of them. I didn't want, you know, just a boring podcast, and people were like, what are you gonna do, podcast, and it's like, I really want to flesh out this idea, and I couldn't do that on top of like starting my new job, all this stuff. I'm 21, just moved out of my parents' house, all this stuff. And I remember my cousin actually was like talking about Awkward Black Girl because I really resonated with that. He had like, you know, saw similarities in that, and he was like, you know, she really took a perspective that was different that a lot of people can relate to, but it wasn't really talked about, and then she put that in Awkward Black Girl, and then Insecure kind of spin off of that. And I was like, you know, what do I have that's different? Because it's like, of course there's a bunch of black people, there's a bunch of black women, but I was like, what's my experience that's different? And I thought, and I was just like, okay, I can relate to like being called an Oreo, or like feeling like you don't fit in to one culture or another culture. And I'm like, and I just kept talking, and I feel like so many people were like, I feel like that too, and I'm like, but this is never really talked about in mainstream media, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have Blackish, we have Insecure, we have whatever, but you know,
I think it's talked about in like a different way, like, because I feel like a lot of people who call themselves awkward or like consider themselves an awkward black girl very much fit under the label of probably being
Oreo.
called Oreo too.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of like intertwined.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, that's why I was like, what's a very like kind of niche topic that, but I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that, and we've gotten some positive responses on that.
And it's like, you don't even have to be an Oreo. Like, I know for other cultures, they have different versions. I think
A banana.
Is that Chinese?
That's
or
Asian.
Okay.
Yellow
I
on the
think I heard
outside,
that.
white in the inside.
Yeah. And what else? I feel like there's different variations.
I could be wrong. A gringa?
A gringo is a white person, I think.
yeah.
And
I'm
wrong, yeah.
That's something
Mexico
else.
says that.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't think that's related to like, unless it is. I mean, let us know if we're wrong.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Tell us. Comment below. Interaction. Hit
But
us
yeah,
up.
and I know I was talking to you about it, and we were talking about, I guess this goes for all of us, that we grew up in very white schools.
Well, all of us except for
me,
Except
Rachel.
for
Oh,
Rachel,
okay.
Rachel,
I
tell
didn't
us
know
where you
that.
grew up.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. My schools were very diverse from elementary school to high school. But I do get what you were saying, how not feeling like you're part of that culture. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a very like strict household where my parents were really strict on like going to church and to school. So a lot of what like my peers would go through, I didn't go through because of the way I was raised. So I never felt like I was a part of like the black culture, you know, like a part of like my community because of how I was raised, and I was looked down upon or like being conceived as different because, you know, I didn't like listen to the music that they listened to or like dress the way they did or even like watching like certain movies. So like it was very different for me like growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't relate to that like on a like fully, but like I get it. My parents are Jamaican, so the way we were raised, they always like to remind me that like you may live in America, but you were raised in a Jamaican household. These are your values. These are kind of what we do. And I don't know, like I think a lot of Caribbean parents are just like strict as hell.
Very.
I mean, they weren't like so strict, but it was just kind of like, you know, wasn't allowed to like watch TV past a certain time. Like you had to do your homework immediately. We all had chores. Mm-hmm. Just I don't know. That's not even like really strict, but it was kind of like
It was stricter than the average. It was stricter than the average, and it was different because like most of my peers, like after school, like they were hanging out with their other friends and like going to the movies and parties and sleepovers, but like I couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So like I was like secluded and not like really interacting socially with my peers.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of Caribbean parents kind of keep their kids really close.
Yes.
So then you end up getting like, I consider my parents my best friends, and like me and my sister always talk about this. Like we're probably closer to our parents than the average person our age, just because of like how we were raised, but also like growing up in a predominantly white area, there weren't a lot of black people around to relate to. So I'm gonna talk to my parents before I'm gonna talk to Chrissy down the street.
You know what's absolutely insane? You literally just like, light bulb just went out because growing up, I guess my parents, they weren't necessarily strict, but they were more strict than the people that I grew up around. Mm-hmm. It was like, you have a set curfew and I'm 20 years old and my curfew's still midnight, you know? Mm-hmm. Or I can't go walking down the street to go to a friend's house alone. I'm 16 years old, I'm 6 foot tall, but my brother still has to walk me down the street, you know? Mm-hmm. And it was always so weird because my parents had always been my best friends. Like, always. My parents, man, they were like my homies. Yes. I was like, I wasn't like a 16-year-old who was like, let's hang out. Yeah. I was like, nah, like, I'm going to stay inside and watch a movie with my parents.
Friday nights
type deal.
Were movie nights and pizza with my parents.
But I never thought of the idea that maybe I was so close to my parents because they were the only people that I could relate with in my household. And it's like my brother and sister, they're a little bit older than me, so they were out doing their own things. And I was just kind of like, well, my parents, I can relate to them, so I'm hanging out with them. I love y'all, by the way.
That's interesting because I did not grow up in a strict household. At least I don't think I did. I mean, I think me and my parents have a good trust, so it was like they know if I'm out at like past midnight, like I'm not doing something stupid like drugs or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think I was really blessed in that front. But I think with like the whole being secluded and going to a mostly all-white school is like your identity is kind of shaped with that because it's like you're going to school with people who don't look like you, who don't relate to you, and their perception of what you should be is like kind of brought onto, you know what I'm saying?
That's where the
so
Oreo comes in.
Yeah, and that's where it comes in because it's like, oh, well, you don't talk black.
Yeah.
That's that your yeah. That's the next episode. But we'll go into deep dives into all that. But like it's like their perception because they don't know. They didn't grow up with anyone.
What makes me sad is like I guess I thought about it growing up, but you know, I was the only interaction for a lot of my friends with a black person.
For sure.
100%.
And that's like
that's crazy.
But at the same time I was like happy about it because I'm like, okay, if they meet me, they're gonna realize that I'm not special. There are like a ton of black people that act like me, that think like me, that like, you know, maybe me listening to Paramore in high school was weird because what black girl listens to Paramore? But I'm staring at Janae.
Yeah. I did too. I feel like a lot of people do. Yeah.
And I don't know. For me, I was never necessarily happy to be that one black person. I just always, I always felt, and this is once again where the theme of being an Oreo comes in, where it's kind of like I'm not accepted by my black peers because I'm listening to things like because I'm listening to things like Paramore and Fall Out Boy.
Yes.
But my white friends are looking at me.
Like, shouldn't you be listening to Tupac?
Exactly.
Lil Wayne?
Exactly. Right. So it's just constantly feeling kind of like an outsider, like you're on your own island and that no one really understands. And even my family did that kind of stuff. Even like more distant family relatives and even my immediate family were kind of like, you're kind of weird,
right?
Listening to this kind of music, dressing this kind of way, you speak so properly.
Sure, yeah.
That was a theme my entire life. It was just like, you're different.
I think a lot of people can really relate to us with all that, you know. And we'll like dive in. I'm writing down stuff now, but like I'm gonna do like I wrote down music so we could do an episode on music and that, and you know, sports, how you mentioned. Just add as we go. But yeah, I think that's like a huge thing because it's like you have this perception from your family who, you know, obviously that's a predominantly black group. Yeah. And then you have perception for predominantly white people. So it's like, well, okay, y'all are telling me I'm different. Y'all are telling me I'm different. What the hell? There's like no. And I think I'm going to bring that to an episode of like mixed people. Obviously, I mean, I'm going to say obviously I'm not mixed, but I feel like, and I don't want to
identify with mixed people.
And I don't want to sound ignorant and stuff because there are people that are mixed, but I just feel like because that's how you are perceived, you know, that's how you know, kind of like Barack Obama, like he's mixed, but he's like, you know, yeah. So I just want to, I mean, maybe we'll have like mixed people in here to talk about their experience because I think, I mean, that's really hard because it's literally you are half, and it's like a group of people. And I think with mixed people, it sucks for them because I feel like sometimes even black people like don't want to claim them. Yeah. You know, like Meghan Markle and stuff like that. And it's like, damn, well, where We'll go into that later, but I'm
We
just
can
saying,
have a deeper
I feel like we
discussion on
question
that.
them. Like black people do question mixed people.
we do.
for sure. I think they do.
I think also this comes into play mainly because you guys can't see me, but I'm a very dark black.
I was going to bring in skin tone
I'm the-
because
yeah.
I know personally I am light skinned with freckles, y'all. I have been mistaked as mixed my entire
Same, me
life.
too.
I mean, me
my
too.
entire life.
No one ever. I ain't mixed. No. I get people ask me if I'm mixed when they look at my hair because they're very confused.
Yeah, you got them curls, man.
Yeah, you do.
It's down the line.
I feel like people look at my hair and they should just know that this is, this is not mixed with white. Like, y'all should know. But people will still ask me, like, oh, are you mixed? We'll get into that, too.
I think for me at least, because I'm dark, but my mom's a little bit lighter. She likes to say she's dark, but I'm sorry, Mom, you're not. But I think that kind of also, like, I don't think it's just white people. I think people outside of, no, maybe it is just white people.
No, I used to get asked like from black people, like, are you mixed?
Oh, black
white
people do
people
it
wouldn't
all the
even like
time.
ask me.
Yeah,
it's
I think more black people do that to
ask
me.
more
I've
black
gotten,
all the time.
I've gotten asked multiple times from people outside of my race that were questioning whether my mom was my mom.
What?
I need to ask my younger sister that because my younger sister, she's like your color, and my mom is like Kia's color, and I wonder like when she goes out with my mom, like do people look at her weird or ask her questions? I'm definitely gonna ask her that. Cause
That's funny because I'm like definitely, I mean, I'm lighter than my entire family. I feel like my family's
you
gonna
are actually.
laugh.
Throwback
You
jeans
are.
are a thing.
Yeah, because like I know in Blackish, I didn't see this episode, but they do an episode with Diane being the darker one, and I think a lot of people, I guess, like relate to being the darker one. But I feel like there's no one that I can really go to that's like I am significantly lighter than
You are.
my immediate family, my external family. And I remember even when we went to there's something when we went to vacation, I think it was after my high school graduation, and we went to the islands, and I went with my family, like family, friends, my sister, all that, and they were like, oh, is she part of your family? Like, to get on the boat and stuff. And then they said something in, like, I don't know what language they were speaking. It was Bahamas. But they were, like, questioning, like, oh, are you part of them? And I was just like, yeah. But I think people don't, even if you're joking, I think that's kind of messed up to question your family.
damaging.
It's different if it's a joke. It's just messed up to be like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you want me to just carry my birth certificate around and show, that's rude. Like, I don't know, I get it, like, I mean, whatever, I was young, but, like, luckily no one has done that when I go out with my immediate family or my, like, other family, but just the Bahamas, so it was...
My sister has that, too. She's my half-sister, and my entire immediate family is very light. We are very fair-skinned black folk, but my sister is brown skin. And so often, even at family events, people will be like, oh, where's the other daughter? And it's like, she's right there. Or we'll be out and about and people will constantly ask if she's a cousin or if she's my friend or something like that. So that's been like a huge thing with our family. And I know that that's been something that she's like, that's very frustrating for her. It's just not being identified as a part of the family simply because she's a little bit darker.
And I think we all just need to do a better job of, like, realizing, like, yes, people come in different shapes and
100%.
unless someone comes out, like, legit white and someone you know someone. But I just feel like internal, do whatever you want to do, but, like, external, like, you should not be questioning people's families. That's rude.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know you.
It's one thing to ask, oh, are you with them? But it's another thing to say, are you sure?
Yeah.
Liz, you're sure?
Yeah.
But, like, again, I think it's just, I'm always continuously amazed by the stuff that comes out of people's mouths because I would never say certain
You would
things
never
to people.
think to say that.
And I think that also, like, comes back to the whole idea with people telling me to my face, oh, you are the whitest black girl I've ever met, or, like, you are such an Oreo. And I'm like, I'm not telling you, like, you're dumb.
Yeah.
Or, like, you are Jessica.
I think white people are really bold with what they say, because the stuff white people say, it's like, did your brain process what you just said to me?
I think half of it is wanting to see your reaction, because I know several people have said stuff to me, and I know they just, like, look at me waiting for me to react in a certain way, and I think I just bore them because I'm not getting...
You're not
entertaining them.
Yeah, I'm not getting loud like they expect me to be. And so I'm curious, like, with everyone, I think we should go around and kind of, like, say how we were first introduced to the word Oreo, or, like, how we first realized that we were being labeled as such.
I think for me, it's probably, like, moving to the place I grew up. So I grew up in the until I was 7, I grew up like in the suburbs. I went to a private school. It was like 10 of us in the grade. We moved up together, and it was like 8 black people, 2 white people. I never felt like different or weird, whatever. Like, and then I moved, I think at age 7 to rural New Jersey, like farmland, PA, which is a culture shock.
Me and Janae know.
And it was really different because I didn't know anything, and then I went to school, and it was a public school. It was significantly a large amount of people, and I'm 99% sure that me and my sister were the only black kids in that school. And that was like, I think we moved there 3rd grade and then moved up. I think when we got like maybe like 6th grade, there was a little more. I can't really, honestly, I can't, maybe if there were, like count on like my one hand how many people were in the school. And then middle school you get a little more because I went to regional school, so it was a different district. And then high school, I still think like in my grade probably 10 of us. In the school, definitely less than 50 out of like 1,000 kids.
But were people bold to tell you to your face, like, oh.
I think like I probably first experienced stuff like 3rd grade when I moved, when I realized like, oh, this is different. Because, you know, I went to a small school, everyone was black, I didn't feel different. But when I went to Washington, it was like, oh, me and my sister, thank God I have my sister, but we were like completely different. I do remember like some things where people would say things, and you know that they say it because they have never interacted with, you know, a black person before. But I wouldn't gonna say like very young. I'm gonna say between 3rd and 5th grade. Someone has like mentioned something about being different.
I think I like remember clearly. I was, I think 3. I was 3 years old, and I was in my preschool class, and we were in a circle.
Damn, that's young.
My friend at the time like took my hand and was like, "You're like a monkey. Your skin is really black." And then she turned my hand over, and then she called on the teacher to ask the teacher to explain why the inside of my palm was so white and my skin was black. So like from the time I was little, I was
I think a lot of like black people growing up in, I don't even know predominantly white spaces, but with white people, like children don't know, but it's crazy that you remember that 3, but I also remember stuff like very young. Like, but it's like people don't think about this enough, but like your children will say some messed up stuff. Yeah. And it's like, just because your children want to be ignorant, now I'm going to think about back to I'm 3.
Right.
That I got to think of that. And I'm going to write that down as another episode of being like, specifically school, because like growing up I have a lot of experiences with being the only black person in history class. That's going to be a specific topic.
Oh my god.
But I'm going to do school history class right now. But
but that was just the first time I think I realized that like I'm like that I can recall that like I'm very much aware of the fact that I am black. But I think other instances where I realized that people were kind of associating me with more what they consider to be white traits, which is just stupid because that's not a thing. A personality trait cannot be associated with a color or a race. Although, like, people, like, okay, that's a different subject for another time, like whether race is a social construct, because it is. But I think the first time I realized that people were calling me an Oreo was when I also stepped into like my intelligence, when I started to like become at like the top of my class, which was probably around 4th or 5th grade. And for whatever reason, I guess me carrying a book, they don't associate reading with black people or being smart with black people, so it was like such a shock that I was trying to educate myself, and it was kind of like, oh, you're smart, you're not like other black folks. And I'm just like, I come from a long line of doctors, I'm pretty sure, like...
Ooh, she hit him with it. I come from a long line of doctors.
Like,
okay.
Caribbean folk, just immigrant people, too, also just don't mess with the whole... You're either a doctor, a lawyer, or you're working for the government or something. Like, when I told my parents I wanted to be a writer, they were like, excuse me? I think they're still hoping I'll be a dentist.
You can marry one. Whatever.
I said, I will glad, and then my husband can take over their practice.
Yeah.
I think I know I experienced stuff before this, but the one that sticks out the most in my brain was from middle school. I was just walking to class. I bumped into this girl, and she told me, you know, you're really pretty for a black girl.
Oh, yes.
Writing that down.
That's such a common...
It's such a common thing.
No, you're just...
you
were just pretty.
Thank you. That's all you need to say. You're pretty. But no, she let it slip out her goddamn mouth. You're pretty for a black girl. And I was just so taken aback. I remember just really, really not knowing how, like being like,
How old were you again? Sorry.
I was in like 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah,
when
so
that
it
happened.
seems like almost just like very young.
Yeah,
That's really young.
And like I said, I know that stuff happened before that, but that's the like biggest one that I feel like made me just like I don't even know what to say. And then my experience with being, I'm trying to think, because a lot of them have to do with just pure racism at its finest.
Well, it is upstate New York.
It's up. Me and Amari are both from the same exact town in upstate New York.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. New York State may be blue, but remember, there are other places within.
Yeah. But I would definitely say after that, I was told, and these are people that were like my friends
That's the worst.
at the time, and they told me that like I have the right skin tone and that I act
I've
the
heard that
right
too, yeah.
way.
Oh,
I've heard that too, yeah.
They said you have like the Janae, you're so lucky. You have the
perfect
right skin tone.
You're
Yeah.
not too dark, but you're tan enough.
And they're like, you're
I've gotten
so
that.
well spoken, and you're just like the right type of black. And these were girls that like I was friends with.
yeah.
And they say because they think it's a compliment.
They're
Yeah.
saying it.
They don't know any better. They're young.
Or like having someone say, "You'd never be my slave."
What?
Someone else said that to me too, I think.
Really?
This was history class.
Oh my God, no,
This was
history class,
You were,
yes.
you were bringing back so many memories. I remember a boy on the. This is my family's Jamaican, so we were like on the bus and we're rolling by the fields, and he said, "Oh, look it. That's where you people used to work." Then he said, "I bet your parents were out in the field picking all that weed." And I was like, "Wait,
what?
Wow." This was in 5th grade.
Okay, I didn't
You don't, and at that
This
age,
boy
you don't
was-
know how to take that. Like,
don't.
how
No,
do
you
I
don't know how to
react?
I literally laughed and was like, "Ha, no, we don't smoke."
Yeah,
like,
like-
what are you talking, like,
You don't know how to respond at
Yeah, you
And then
Five,
sometimes it would
6, 7.
frustrate me actually when I would go and tell my parents these things, because they'd be like, "Well, next time tell them they ugly." And it's like, well,
No.
thanks, mom and dad. It doesn't help me.
And then it's like, I'm not gonna have any friends because all my
I'm not
friends are
gonna have
white.
any friends. I'm
Right.
gonna be alienated. It's already enough that I'm the only black girl in this damn school, and nobody gonna like me.
No, my parents were like, "Tell me who, what teacher do I need to talk to?" I swear, when I graduated, they were so glad they got rid of me, because if anything happened to me at that school, which it did several times, my parents came down and they knew, and all the students knew too. I knew one person was like, "Hey, Mari, did you see your parents in the hallway?" And I was like, "God damn." Yeah.
Rachel, your turn.
Well, my experience isn't as severe as y'all's experience, but I've definitely been told you sound white, especially like in middle school. And then like again, like going back to like how do we take, like I didn't know how to take that, and I was like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
And on top of like not feeling like I fit in or anything like that, so I didn't know how to take it until then I realized like at Hofstra.
Another spoiler: me and Rachel went to Hofstra together.
That's when I started to feel like, because I never went to school I would never went to like a predominantly white school. So then I started to realize like the differences, and it annoyed the fuck out of me. It really did.
That's interesting.
But
You
you know-
didn't get that till college.
No,
But you
not
know what's
until
crazy?
college.
But lucky.
Hofstra was so tame compared to
Very.
my high school. Like, I cannot remember. And by that point, I think I was just so used to the dumb shit that people had said to me.
You're just immune.
I was immune to it. So the rare instances where people said dumb stuff, it wasn't even severe. It was like, yeah, I like hip hop too.
Yeah.
And no one was even talking about no damn hip hop music.
Right.
Like, that was like the only instances.
It was like a lot of the students like trying to be accepted and like
Yeah.
trying to adopt the black culture and like feel like, yeah, like you said, like I know hip hop too. Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, you know, and it's like it's not just about the music. You know, it's,
We do other things outside of
Right.
hit
entertainment.
them with it.
smack him in the face with it.
But like, I made the mistake of going to college in my hometown.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
What school did you go to?
Lemoyne College, Dolphins in upstate, because that makes sense. No, I think it's Jesuit related. I should know, but I didn't pay attention. But yeah, I literally went in my hometown with like most of the kids I had gone to high school with. So it was literally the same environment. The only difference was I just got more black once I stepped into college. It was like, you know when you can just like feel it like bursting in you and you just like so like it was really exciting because that was during the time unfortunate time I think I started to step into myself even more was when all the unarmed black men were getting shot, and I think Sandra Bland really threw me over the edge too. And then also we had the election with Donald Trump, so there was a lot of tension on this very white campus. There was even an incident of blackface at one of the Halloween parties.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that the school helped to throw the Halloween party, and this boy in blackface walked in past administration. And then
on a college campus.
On a college campus. And how did they do it? I think he maybe got suspended or reprimanded. I don't know. But they sent out an email and like that was all that was said. And then they like had little talks on campus so we could feel better about it.
Wow.
Hofstra did that a lot.
Yeah,
But Hofstra did that.
To cover their ass.
Right, they're
A
covering
whole
your ass,
bunch.
but you're sitting with the same people that go to all the same goddamn meetings, and we all look like each other. I'm like, I don't need to talk to you about this. You know.
You need to talk to the majority.
We need to talk to the majority.
Yeah.
Y'all, I want to share my awakening story. I want to share it. I'm gonna share it.
Budding into yourself.
She's so excited.
So I had this group of girlfriends that I was like, you know, some of the girls in the group I had gone to school with since like elementary school, middle school, and then others were newer add-ons. We were at lunch one day. One of the newer add-ons, she was like huge into SU basketball. Like she was.
Oh, you told me this.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It was.
No. Also, SU basketball's not that good.
It's not that great, but this girl, like every game, she was like laser focused. So we're sitting at lunch. She starts talking about the game, and she's like, "Those stupid niggers lost the game." And I was like,
Hit it with it.
How old are you? Oh,
I was.
Jesus Christ, that's terrible.
I was in 11th grade.
Okay,
grade.
thank God I've never had to experience that. Because I don't know what I would do.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I hope you fight here because there were several people in high school
That's
and in
terrible.
middle school that I wanted them to call me that just so I could beat them up for all the other stuff that they had said.
You know the crazy part about the mindset of a high schooler is that you're kind of like, if I get too angry right now and hit her, that's what she's gonna expect of me, and I will just be a nigger to her.
You'll
That's
be the angry black girl.
Yeah, I'll just be the angry black girl, and on top of that, I'll lose all the rest of my friends.
Right.
Now, thinking back, I will continue the story, but thinking back, I don't think these people were really too much of my friends anyway. But to continue the story, she said it. And I went off in like an emotional fury and I called her stupid and all this other stuff. And I stormed out crying. And then later on, she was like texting me, apologizing, saying she was sorry. I was ignoring her. I was like, screw you, don't want to talk to you. And then there were two other people who were sitting with us when this happened. And one of the other girls, she was like a really close friend to me. We had been friends for a really long time. No, she told me that I should forgive that person because she has said sorry to me and that I should basically just get over it and that I'm
another white person?
overreacting. Yeah, it was another white person.
Of course it was.
And she was saying that I was overreacting and that, you know, she said sorry. She feels really bad. She's been texting me and calling me and constantly trying to apologize. So I should just accept her apology. And looking back at it now, I like accepted it, but I distanced myself from that group of people. And from there, I started getting involved in like black groups on campus. And from there, I was just like, you know what, screw all these people. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But it was crazy just looking back at my mindset was more concerned about having friends than my identity.
But you don't know at that age because it's like I
That's
saw
all
too.
that's all you're surrounded by.
That's all you're surrounded, and it's like we'll get another episode into this, but it's like you're at the school, you already don't fit in naturally because you don't look like everyone else, so you don't want to make yourself not fit in more. So you kind of take things as you can, because it's like, well, I don't want to, be another, like, more of an outsider.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, luckily for me, I went to college, I think it's a very diverse college, Montclair State, and I, like, never had to deal with any of the issues I dealt with in high school. I never felt out of place. I never felt like... It was just like a perfect fit. Like, it was just like, there was diversity everywhere. I had white friends, I had black friends, I had Indian friends, I had, like, everything. And I just never felt out of place. I never had to deal with racial issues. There was no racial issues that I know of on my campus. So, luckily, I had that to, like, be like, wow, this opened my eyes to so many things I put up with. But, I don't know. But that is rough. Did you have something else you wanted to say? Or
Well, I think it was just like a comment on the whole fact that she was talking about basketball and that these black men had lost the game for them. And I think it's funny because white people will always root for us when we're doing something that benefits them in some way. But once we mess up in their eyes, we do something wrong, then we become the niggers. Become this. And it's just like, we're not here for your entertainment. Also, there are not a lot of white people on the SU team, but there are some, and they are part of it too. But, like, it just makes me, I don't know. That's
you're engaging in a sport that's like 75% black. You still have and a lot of the NBA players talk about this. Like, I think it just happened with Russell Westbrook. How like I think he went to Utah and someone said like was saying racist stuff to him, and it's like, y'all pay money to see a sport which is clearly like dominated by black people, and y'all will still be racist to them.
No, but because
that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It's the thing is that they want you to shut up and perform. As an athlete, I very much know your job is to get on the field.
Yeah, make us some money,
and then also, like, again, that'll go into our sports episode because the amount of stuff I remember in JV in junior high, a friend was supposedly joking. And she told me, yeah, Amari, you go into the back of the bus, back where you belong.
That's just such poor taste.
It took one of my Asian friends. She was like, no, Amari, that's not all right. I was like, it's okay. She's like, that's not all right. We're going to talk to the coach.
That's a good ass friend.
That was a good ass friend.
That's a good ass friend.
I knew, and yes, she was a good friend. And I was just very. I don't like confrontation, and I just felt like if I'm gonna bring it, it's just gonna look like I'm causing trouble. And the coach was just so awkward about it. He was and by the end of it, I felt like I needed to apologize to her. That's how messed up this system is. But that's always. I don't know about you guys, but I have black girl guilt all the time.
Oh no, I had that. I had that a lot. I had a whole bunch.
But I'm glad we had this conversation because I feel like this is going to lead us down some very good roads
for some notes for future episodes.
But like, I wish I had the idea of mental health then that I do now. That's important to be introspective and think about myself and seek the help that I need. And I think Rachel is going to do one of our segments.
That was great. Amari, that's a nice transition.
She is dialed all the way.
That was so, professional.
Good
I was supposed to make it, but no, you did that.
That's your thing.
I'm sure sometimes.
Yeah, so May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Hey.
And I feel like in the Black community, we don't talk about mental illness. And I wanted to just define, like, what is mental illness? And according to mentalhealthamerica.net, a mental illness is a disease that causes mild to severe disturbances in thought and or behavior, resulting in an inability to cope with life's ordinary demands and routines. And I think it's also important to know the signs and symptoms of mental health. Some of them are confused thinking, prolonged depression, feelings of extreme highs and lows, excessive fears, worries, and anxieties, strong feeling of anger, suicidal thoughts, substance use, dramatic changes in sleeping or eating habits, strange thoughts, seeing or hearing things that aren't there, and numerous physical ailments. I just wanted to say that we are not here to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. We're just here to educate you all. If you guys have any issues or feel like you need to talk to someone, always seek out help and never feel like you should self-diagnose yourself, because it's very important to figure out what's wrong with you. You are your number one priority, and never feel
Say it louder for the black girls in back.
You are your number one priority. Never feel like you're like being a burden to someone for talking about your feelings. And if you feel like you can't go to anyone, I'm pretty sure your insurance company or even like New York City offers like some free programs where you can talk to someone. So always seek help. Don't feel like you're alone out there in the world.
Hey, thank you for that. And now on to Janae. The best for last.
Hey y'all. So we're doing a segment of listener letters. Honestly, I wanted to do this because I'm a messy bitch who loves drama and I love the tea. Like, I'm not even gonna lie.
She's sipping it right now.
I'm shipping it right now. We had someone write in to our email, which is so-calledoreos@gmail.com.
Yes, and thank you for sending that email.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say your first name because I don't want people to look you up and stalk you because I know we're popping and you're popping. So, Brianna, thank you so much for writing in.
Let's just call her Brianna Tarth.
Brianna Tarth. Brianna Tarth. So Brianna, she didn't really have a question, but she just kind of wanted to share her own experience relating to the podcast. She said, I went to a mostly white school for elementary. After zoning bullshit changed, I couldn't go to that school anymore and had to go to one in my neighborhood. So for middle and high school, I went to a predominantly black school. Like my first day of middle school, I was talking to this girl and she asked me why I talk so white. That threw me for a loop and I was truly confused. And she called me an Oreo. I think I assimilated to my new environment pretty well. Don't know what talking white is about, but I don't think I'll speak that way, or I don't think I speak that way anymore. I haven't been called that since, but I used to get judged for my choices in music, the songs that I would listen to, because I didn't really listen to a lot of hip hop growing up. I like pop music and a couple of the white boy groups like The Script. I still have all sorts of musical interests, but now I don't care what people think about it.
Oh, that was
Yes.
great.
Yes, who cares?
Be you, because at the end of the day, what people don't realize, it's like, no, I'm not an Oreo. I'm not the whitest black girl. I'm just being myself.
Yeah.
And you are choosing to put me into a box.
She just being Brianna.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to recognize, but it's a hard thing to spot out when you're young because you're impressionable and you just want to be liked. But like for any of our listeners that are younger, I just want you to know that it's okay. Just like everyone else just said, it's okay to like what you like. If someone makes fun of you, well then screw them. Who are they? They're not you. At the end of the day, you have to live and you gotta die with you.
And
So you
and
should like what the hell you like, girl.
And when you graduate, you don't give a
You
F
won't even
about
see
any of
those
these
people anymore.
I
Like,
don't talk to any.
you don't talk to
I
them.
delete them off social media. Like literally, no one cares.
Right,
Yeah, no one
yeah.
cares what they're doing.
Once you find your tribe, you will know, because I'm literally sitting with mine.
Oh my god!
Facts. Facts.
Sound it. And it took I think it took us all a while.
It took like 10 years,
right?
but
Yeah.
we're here.
We're here. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for our first episode. Unless you guys have something else you want to mention.
I think
Thank y'all
that's
for
all.
listening.
Follow us at So-Called Oreos on every social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Email us at SoCalledOreo@gmail.com. Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
See you next
All right.
time.
Oh, shit.
I thought that was the outro music.